Have you ever wondered what the most common causes of death are for seniors? It's not a topic anyone enjoys talking about, but facing it honestly can make all the difference. When we understand what puts us most at risk, we give ourselves the power to make better choices, take meaningful action, and sometimes even change the course of our later years. That's why this video isn't just about numbers or medical facts. It's about clarity, confidence, and taking control of your well-being, one insight at a time. In this video, we're going to walk through 5 leading causes of death in older adults based on recent findings. But more than just naming them, we'll explain how they happen, what the warning signs might be, and what steps can be taken to protect yourself. From silent killers like heart disease to the creeping challenges of cognitive decline, we'll look at how each of these affects real lives, including examples you may recognize from your own experience. Stay with us until the end because each point builds a fuller picture of what aging really looks like and how it doesn't have to mean losing your strength, your independence, or your peace of mind. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's a good time to do it. Tap the bell so you don't miss helpful content like this. And remember, knowledge is a form of self-care. Sometimes it's the most powerful one of all. Let's begin. Number 1. Heart disease and cardiovascular complications. Among all the causes of death in older adults, heart disease remains the most common and the most quietly dangerous. It doesn't always announce itself with a dramatic heart attack or crushing chest pain. In fact, it often builds slowly over time, hidden beneath daily fatigue, shortness of breath, or the assumption that getting older simply means feeling tired all the time. But make no mistake, clogged arteries, high blood pressure, and poor circulation are not just symptoms of age. They are signals that the heart is struggling and it needs attention. A cardiologist once said, "By the time many of my senior patients arrive, they've been living with untreated heart symptoms for years. They just didn't know it." That quote stays with you because it captures a painful truth. Awareness often comes too late. The heart is an extraordinary organ, but it's also deeply sensitive to the wear and tear of everyday life. Poor diet, lack of movement, unmanaged stress, smoking, and high cholesterol slowly chip away at its strength. For seniors, even mild changes in lifestyle, like walking more often or reducing processed foods, can have a real impact. But too often these adjustments are delayed and the damage becomes difficult to reverse. That's the tricky part. Heart disease is often a long game, one that plays out in silence until it suddenly becomes urgent. But it's also one of the most preventable causes of death when caught early and treated with care. Regular checkups, managing blood pressure, staying active, and keeping inflammation in check aren't just healthy habits, they're acts of preservation. The heart may slow down with age, but it doesn't have to give out early. With attention, consistency, and a little humility, seniors can support their cardiovascular system in powerful ways, not to chase youth, but to maintain vitality so they can keep living with strength, clarity, and purpose for as long as they're meant to. Number 2. Cancer and late-stage diagnosis. The second leading cause of death in older adults is cancer. And while the word itself carries a heavy emotional weight, the real danger often lies in something much quieter: late detection. Many cancers, especially in the lungs, colon, prostate, and breasts, can be treated successfully when found early. But the problem is, the signs are easy to miss, especially for seniors who might already be managing several other health concerns. It's not uncommon for symptoms like fatigue, weight changes, or digestive troubles to be chalked up to just getting older. And in that delay, the disease spreads. One oncologist once explained, by the time many elderly patients receive a cancer diagnosis, the tumor has already progressed beyond the early stage, not because they didn't care, but because they didn't know what to look for. And that's the heartbreak of it. People assume the little signs are just part of aging: a nagging cough, a bit of blood in the stool, unexplained aches. They're brushed off, dismissed, or accepted with a quiet sigh. But behind those subtle symptoms could be something much more serious. The longer it's ignored, the more difficult the path forward becomes. That kind of hesitation is common. Fear plays a big role, and so does the desire to avoid bad news. But knowledge, even uncomfortable knowledge, gives you a chance. That's why screenings like colonoscopies, mammograms, or chest x-rays are so important, especially as we age. They give us a glimpse inside before things grow out of reach. And just as important as early detection is lifestyle. A diet rich in plants and fiber, daily movement, and reducing toxins like tobacco or alcohol can dramatically lower cancer risk. It won't eliminate it, but it shifts the odds. It puts some power back in your hands. Cancer doesn't always move fast. In many cases, it gives you warning signs. But you have to be willing to listen, and more importantly, take action. Not because you expect the worst, but because you deserve the best possible chance. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, respiratory disease and declining lung function. Another major cause of death in older adults, one that often flies under the radar, is chronic respiratory disease. This includes conditions like chronic bronchitis, emphysema, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or what many simply call COPD. Unlike infections that come on suddenly, these diseases move slowly, gradually limiting airflow and making each breath feel more labored than the last. They don't just attack the lungs. They wear down the entire body over time, robbing people of energy, sleep, and the basic joy of moving freely without gasping for air. A pulmonologist once shared, "By the time many seniors come in for testing, they've already lost half their lung capacity and didn't even know it. They thought they were just out of shape." That quote stays with you because it speaks to how easily respiratory issues are overlooked. When an older adult struggles to catch their breath after a short walk, they may assume it's due to age, weight, or just a bad day. They might not realize that their lungs have been under strain for years, often from a combination of past smoking, environmental exposure, or untreated inflammation. The symptoms start quietly: a cough here, a wheeze there, some chest tightness in the morning. But the damage builds, and by the time the signs are clear, breathing has already become a daily challenge. Take Ron, a 75-year-old former steel worker. He hadn't smoked in over a decade, but he still coughed every morning and felt winded just bringing in the groceries. It wasn't until a visit to the clinic revealed severely reduced lung function that he realized what was happening. "I thought quitting smoking was enough," he said. "I didn't know the damage could keep growing even after I stopped." That's one of the difficult truths about respiratory disease. Quitting smoking is vital, but it's not the end of the story. Many seniors were exposed to dust, chemicals, or fumes throughout their working years. Some lived in areas with poor air quality. Others simply had undiagnosed asthma or untreated bronchitis that slowly morphed into something more serious. And while damage to the lungs can't always be undone, there are still meaningful steps that can be taken to improve quality of life. Medications, breathing therapies, and pulmonary rehab programs can help strengthen lung capacity. Avoiding exposure to cold, smoke, and allergens is also key. So is staying active within safe limits, because the lungs, like the rest of the body, need movement to function well. Even walking around the block once a day can make a difference. What matters most is recognizing the signs early and not brushing them off as just old age. If something feels off with your breathing, if the air isn't coming as easily as it used to, it's worth paying attention. Because breathing freely shouldn't be a luxury, it's a birthright, and one we can protect even in our later years. Number 4, stroke and sudden neurological decline. When it comes to sudden life-altering events in older adults, few things strike with the speed and severity of a stroke. One moment, everything seems fine, and the next, the body betrays itself. Speech becomes slurred, limbs grow heavy, or the face begins to droop. And while it might look like it came out of nowhere, a stroke is almost always the result of long-standing issues quietly building in the background. High blood pressure, atrial fibrillation, clogged arteries, or even unmanaged diabetes can all create the perfect storm for a clot or a bleed in the brain. A neurologist once said, "Strokes rarely give second chances. The window to act is short, and that's why prevention is everything." Those words aren't meant to scare, they're meant to awaken. Because with stroke, time is the enemy. The brain can only survive without oxygen for a few minutes before damage sets in. That's why recognizing early signs, like sudden confusion, vision problems, numbness on one side, or dizziness, is absolutely critical. The acronym FAST, face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty, time to call emergency services, has saved countless lives simply by helping people act quickly. But while response time matters, the deeper work lies in prevention. Stroke doesn't happen randomly. It's usually the end result of years of vascular strain, most of it preventable. Blood pressure that stays too high for too long begins to damage the delicate vessels in the brain. Irregular heart rhythms can throw clots into the bloodstream, and plaque buildup, the same kind that affects the heart, can block oxygen from reaching critical areas of the mind. Let's take the example of Eugene, a 70-year-old retired firefighter who always considered himself strong. He ignored his high blood pressure, thinking a little salt in his food couldn't hurt. But one morning while making breakfast, he dropped his coffee cup and couldn't speak. His wife recognized the signs and got him to the hospital in time, but recovery was long. "If I'd listened sooner," he later said, "I might not have needed a walker." The good news is that stroke risk can be reduced. Keeping blood pressure in a healthy range, taking prescribed medications, quitting smoking, and keeping cholesterol under control all play a part. So does staying mentally active, doing puzzles, reading, engaging in conversation. The brain, like the heart, needs good circulation and regular stimulation to stay sharp. We can't control everything in life, but we can influence more than we think. And when it comes to stroke, a little vigilance can make the difference between a thriving future and a sudden, devastating turn. So keep an eye on the signs, stay consistent with care, and never underestimate the value of small, steady efforts. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, Alzheimer's disease and cognitive decline. The final cause we'll talk about today isn't one that strikes quickly or with dramatic symptoms, but its impact is just as devastating. Alzheimer's disease, along with other forms of dementia, is an increasingly common cause of death among older adults. What makes it so difficult is that it doesn't begin with pain or sudden illness. It begins with forgetting names, misplacing keys, or repeating a story you've already told. And slowly, quietly, it erodes the foundation of a person's life: memory, identity, independence. A geriatric specialist once said, "By the time a diagnosis is made, the disease has already been changing the brain for years." Families often notice something is wrong long before doctors do. That quote stays with you because it speaks to the slow-motion heartbreak that defines this condition. Unlike a heart attack or a stroke, Alzheimer's creeps in. It doesn't just take years off your life, it takes pieces of you along the way. Conversations become shorter, familiar faces become unfamiliar, and the person you were begins to feel further and further away. It's not just hard on the one experiencing it, it's deeply painful for family, friends, and caregivers who watch the change unfold day by day. Take the story of Harold, an 82-year-old former math teacher who used to solve puzzles every morning. One day, his wife noticed he'd put his shoes in the refrigerator. A week later, he forgot the way home from the grocery store. It wasn't until he could no longer remember the names of his grandchildren that they got a formal diagnosis. "It's like I'm losing him one memory at a time," his daughter said. There is no known cure for Alzheimer's, and that makes it all the more important to focus on what can be done. Early detection, mental stimulation, good sleep, heart-healthy habits, and staying socially connected have all been shown to slow the progression of cognitive decline. Even things like learning a new hobby, walking in nature, or having deep conversations can help the brain build new connections, what researchers call cognitive reserve. Nutrition also plays a role. Diets rich in leafy greens, berries, whole grains, and healthy fats have been linked to lower risk. So has staying mentally active with reading, music, or creative expression. These may not be magic bullets, but they're real tools in the effort to keep the mind as sharp and resilient as possible. And perhaps most importantly, Alzheimer's reminds us that health isn't just physical, it's emotional, relational, and spiritual. As we age, it's not just about adding more years to life. It's about adding more life to the years we have. When we care for our minds, we protect not just our thoughts, but the stories, the people, and the meaning that make life worth living. I'm Jo. Final thoughts. As we wrap up this video, let's take a moment to reflect on the 5 leading causes of death in older adults and what they really tell us. Heart disease, cancer, respiratory conditions, stroke, and Alzheimer's are not just medical terms, they're stories. They're the quiet battles many of us have faced ourselves or witnessed in someone we love. But they also shine a light on what matters most: awareness, prevention, and the power of taking small, steady steps toward better health. What stood out to you the most? Which of these areas do you feel more equipped to pay attention to moving forward? Maybe it's scheduling that long overdue checkup or finally taking high blood pressure seriously. Maybe it's reaching out to a friend for a walk or starting a new brain game to keep your mind sharp. Whatever it is, know this: your efforts matter. Your choices still carry weight. And it's never too late to care for yourself in a deeper, more intentional way. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to bring it into practice in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.